And HR people, in addition to being thoroughly knowledgeable about the HR profession itself and the know-how in the HR supply chain, you need to be knowledgeable in marketing, finance, and IT, maybe among other things. Not to the level of a marketing professional or a finance professional or an IT professional, but you need to have adequate knowledge in those areas, and vice versa. Those line managers and those of you who are not in HR, maybe you need to be thoroughly conversant and competent in your particular discipline. Say if it's a finance professional, in finance. But you need to have awareness on HR, IT, and marketing. These are my personal opinions, which can be challenged. So I will now move on to the body of my talk, and I will talk to you on these areas which I have categorized them into 7 groups. I have categorized the HR supply chain into 7 groupings according to the flow and according to its importance. Before that, this is a very brief introduction to my company which I work for. It's called the Hales Group. It was one of the British colonial organizations which was started in 1978. It's about 130 years old. We have so many of these, about 10 of these organizations in Sri Lanka, which has stood the test of time. And due to diversification, they have been successful. So we are into different businesses. We have actually 7 business sectors. One is called Global Markets and Manufacturing, where we are the largest global producer of hand protection gloves for medical as well as electricians' gloves. Then we also manufacture activated carbon from coconut shell charcoal. We are the 3rd largest manufacturer of activated carbon for the global market. And then we manufacture textiles and value-added fiber products in global markets and manufacturing. Then we have transportation and logistics, where we do different forms of transportation and manage logistics. Then in terms of consumer, we are agents and distributors for multinational brands such as P&G, Fujifilm, and so many other different brands. We are into power and energy. We have 3 forms of power. One is wind power projects, then the other is hydropower generation, and the third is we generate power through burning of coconut shells for our activated carbon plant. So through the burning of charcoal, you generate electricity, and the byproduct is taken for manufacture of activated carbon. Then we are also in the into agriculture. We own 2 plantation companies with about 22 plantations, tea plantations and rubber plantations, and also in developing agriculture, and also leisure and aviation. We are general sales agents for a lot of airlines and in the hotel industry. The Continental Hotel in Sri Lanka is owned by our company, which was formerly Intercontinental, now it's Continental. So that's about our company. Before we move on, I would like to play you our company anthem. It's just for 3 minutes, just to give you a flavor of what we do.
Our world's our own, to work, live
Actually, we developed this song very recently, and this is played at every thank you. This is played at every company function before we start. And also we developed these lapel pins. We are supposed to wear it on our coat lapels when we go for functions. Okay, moving on to the presentation itself. See, the most important part in acceptance of HR in any organization, I believe, is the alignment. HR strategy being aligned to the corporate plan, the business plan. And this is something that I see which does not happen I'm talking from my personal experiences again, most of the time. Because we HR people tend to do our own thing, and the company is going in one direction and HR is going in one direction. So importantly, and by the way, I will give you a handout of this presentation at the end of it. So importantly, I think whatever we do, we need to discuss with the business leaders of our organizations, understand what do they require from us as HR people, and then develop our HR plan to suit those needs. So what I say here is that the HR strategy should be aligned to business and corporate plans. And to strategize, we need to know where you want to be. In terms of the vision of the organization as well as of HR, you need to understand where you want to be and by when. Is it within 1 year, 2 years, 6 months, 5 years? And again, my experience is that sometimes we have very long visions, 10 years, 15 years, and 2 years down the road, we have all forgotten about it. Right. And also you need to know what you want to achieve in line with the business plan and the operating plan. And strategizing is how you are going to achieve what you need to achieve. How we are going to achieve what you need to achieve. That is, in my opinion, strategizing in terms of your HR plan linked to the business plans of the organization. And to do that, you need competent and dedicated HR professionals. A keyword here is competent. If you don't know your HR, technical, supply chain, what to do, then you are lost. So you need to be competent, at the same time dedicated and have a passion for what you do. I've seen lots of HR people who come in, but who just do what they want to do and not what is required or wanted in an organization. And here I have categorized the supply chain into 3 parts, what is called my views, common practices, not so common practices, and the ones that are somewhat common, right? Again, this is through my personal experience. Maybe this might be common to all of you as well. Common practices, in my view, are industrial relations, employee welfare and relations, administration, and I have put there within brackets transport and security. Most organizations, even transport and security, come within the purview of HR, which I have experienced. So sometimes we HR people spend more time doing transport and security than focusing on HR, because that's the easiest thing to do, and you enjoy doing it also. And HR information system. So these are some of the common practices in most organizations where we have a label called human resources management. Is that true of your organizations as well? Then somewhat common practices. Now here I don't say that it's not happening, but these practices, in my opinion, happen to a lesser degree, less in depth, or at surface or superficial levels. That's search, selection and recruitment. We will go into detail in a minute. Training and development, performance management, employee communications, awards and recognition programs. So these are not very common in organizations, but somewhat common. But even if they happen at the face value, at superficial, on top, not in depth, not very sophisticated. Right? And not so common practices are the HR organization. How do you organize your HR function? HR planning what you want to do, linked to the annual budgets, the operating plans, the business plans of the organization. Evaluating jobs for remuneration planning, understanding the worth of every job and where does it stand in the hierarchy of the organization in a scientific manner. Career paths, succession plans and career growth opportunities, and is it structured and planned. Position specifications, that means the profile of the position. Job descriptions or job clarifications or job roles, and retention and rewarding. So these are the not so common practices in my view. Maybe some of you might agree with this, some of you may not, but I think globally these are the most what happens in HR. I worked at Citibank in Dubai. I was the head of HR for the Gulf for about 6 years. And even in the Dubai and the Middle East, this was very common. Right? So moving on to the supply chain itself, I told you I have categorized them into seven areas. Yeah, I have categorized the technical profile into 7 areas. First grouping, this is in the sequence of flow, which I have titled as HR administration. Those are policies and procedures which provide the foundation for HR architecture. Now, when we, in a startup HR operation or in a startup organization, if you are appointed as the HR manager, what do you go in and do there from day one? Do you have a plan, or you just sit at your desk and just start doing something? Right? So the first, it should be that you should have an objective and a strategy. And that should be after discussion with the senior management of the organization. Then HR organization. What kind of staffing do you want? At what levels? And what type of services will you provide? There was a benchmark at Citibank about 10 years ago that to provide effective HR service to your clients, that you need to have 1.1 HR staff for every 100 staff in your organization. 1.1 HR staff for every 100 employees in the organization. That should be the ideal staffing according to Citibank standards at that time.